Well, hello, friends. Today we're going to continue working on the IDE. So it's going to be more of Hack Studio. And this is where we left off last time. Although I changed this icon a little bit because it was very annoying that it was exactly the same as the mouse cursor. So today I would like to set it up so that we can add some widgets here. And then I would like to show the widget tree over here. So that when we add widgets to the form, then we can also see the widget hierarchy here, which will, I feel like that's going to be very informative. So let's just get right into that. So the way I imagine that we would, that this would work is that sort of like Visual Basic 6, where, or not just 6, but like all of them, where you select one of these, and if you have the cursor, then you can click on any. But if you have another one selected, right now it just pops it into place there. But if you have one selected, then you can like drag out, and that's how you create new widgets. That you drag them out where you want them. So that's let's just see if we can figure out how to do that. So this would be in, I guess we should maybe make some kind of a thing for this. So we have the form editor widget, which is the thing that contains in the form widget that we're editing. So it's sort of the, I don't know, a container or the wrapper around it. And the idea here is that you would interact with this from the outside world. Because form widget is then the actual G widget that does contain the form, and it's going to be, there's going to be no difference between like a G widget in a running application and a G widget inside of this form widget. They're going to be the same thing, except that here when we are inside of this form editor widget, then it will add some bells and whistles and hijack events and stuff so that you can modify the widgets, but it's still going to be G widgets that you're seeing on screen, which will make this so much easier to build this, because we'll get all the right looks and behaviors without having to write any extra code for that. Or we don't have to duplicate any of it, basically. So I'm thinking now that we should have like a tool here. So we'll invent some kind of a tool class, and then we'll have a current tool. We will store it like this, and tool. Let's see. How do we store the tool? Maybe just tool. Or maybe we'll give it a copy of the tool. And then let's see how we do this. So tool, and then we're going to have a cursor tool, and we're going to have a widget tool, and the widget tool will be the usual one that we normally do. And then we could add some other tools as well, but to begin with, we're going to have these two tools, I think. And then we'll have this will be like the current tool that we're using. And if you see my video where I was making the paintbrush application, then it's the same idea here. We're going to build a virtual tool class and then implement behaviors in the two subclasses. So virtual tool. widget. And we'll say you have to subclass it. You cannot instantiate. Let's make non-copyable. Make non-movable tool. Okay, good. And then let's see. So let's do this with events. So on, mouse down. We can do them this way. Okay, and then the cursor tool. I guess I kind of like things like this, so I'm just going to add this. Be pure virtual. And let's see, let's force you to implement some stuff. And this one will let you make however you like. And let's move, and let's do virtual, const char. Cursor tool. All right, so there we go. Oh, forgot to say override here. And I think that's good. And let's do the widget tool in the same way. All right. So now all we have to do is implement these classes. But let's hook them up first, though. So let's see. I mean, let's construct them and so on so that they are in place, and then we can implement them once all the mechanism is already built. I don't know if what I said makes sense, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to instantiate these when you actually click on something. So what the hell did we call this? Registration. Right here. We walk all of the possible widget types. Oh, and here's our cursor tool. So we'll say form G form editor widget set tool, and we'll just make a cursor tool, something like that. And when we click on one of these regular widgets, not the cursor tool, but a widget tool, then we make a widget tool, and we give it the widget class registration. So then it will have all the info needed to construct a widget. Because if you, I don't know if you watched my last video, then you'll remember that GWidget class registration is this thing now where you can get the get an object that teaches you or allows you to construct a GWidget. So if you can get a hold of the GWidget class registration for a given widget class, then the registration object can construct one of these for you. Already I'm thinking widget class registration is a weird name. Maybe it should be called something different, like C meta object or something. I don't know. Well, this is okay for now. So form editor widget should have a set tool function, and I think we'll put that out of line. So we'll take a non-null outputter, which means that you cannot pass null to him. I think that's okay. And then here in form editor widget, set tool. We'll just say m tool is move tool. That's no big deal. And maybe we should have something like if m tool detach, something like that. We'll have detach and attach functions. I think they might come in handy, but I'm not sure. But we'll just add them for now. Attach and detach, because I'm thinking like if you have some ongoing interaction with the tool, but then we want to switch it out for a different tool, then we have to cancel whatever your ongoing interaction is, because the tool is going away, right? But it's not obvious in my head how that's going to work, but I have a feeling that this type of pattern is going to make sense to us eventually. Okay, and then we need to include the cursor tool and the widget tool. Widget tool. Okay, and widget tool needs to have one of those class registration. Class meta class. Yeah, that's probably going to end up being some name like that instead, like a G meta class or C meta class. I don't know. But right now, this is a good enough name for me. Oh, there we go. By the way, this Clang format keybind is probably one of my favorite things ever. Just press key combo and it formats everything correctly. It's going to be a little tricky to get that working in Hack Studio eventually, because I definitely want that behavior there too. But I don't know if I want to integrate with Clang format or write my own code formatter. Okay, so now we have that thing, and now we just want to make sure that we send all of the events to the tool as well. So in form editor widget, we're going to do this sneaky thing here. Or maybe we'll do it in the form widget, actually. Let's see. So there's a mechanism which is called greedy in libgui, greedy for hits. And if you set this to true, then none of your children will have events delivered to them from the mouse. So if this widget has all these children inside it, you can click on them all you want, but they're not going to react, because this means that libgui will consider this widget extremely greedy and it does not share with its children in the events. And that's how we're going to hijack all of the clicking and stuff that goes on here. So that means that we have to take all of these things, and then we'll call the what's the name of our friend? The editor, right? So we're going to need to have implement these getters finally. I just added them last time, but I never implemented them. So static cast form widget editor widget parent. Okay, and here we'll just say editor tool dot, we'll need tool as well. Our tool on mouse down. Okay. Mouse up and mouse move. All right. Oh, and we gotta declare these. Mouse up and mouse move, and boom. Okay. So now we will forward these to the form editor widgets current tools handler. We got to make sure that we have a tool set up by default as well. So that would be in the form editor widget. This thing could be a non-null outputter tool. And then in the constructor, say m tool. We'll just make one of these by default. Oops. Because then we never have to null check it. I think that's slightly nicer. You can not worry about this, for instance. We can say tool attach and tool. Oh, shadowing. All right, fine. This is fine too. Okay. Cursor tool. Oh, okay. I guess we never wrote any code here, so let's write some code. Let me see. These things are in the header, so we only need these three. So I'm thinking a tool is going to need to have its form editor widget so that we can find our way back to it and ask things. So we'll take that here in the constructor. Explicit, okay, and the editor, I guess actually we can make that protected. That's okay, yeah. And in cursor tool, tool. Okay. So we mouse down. We can just do this for now. Cursor tool. On mouse down. I just want to see these working. Do the same for the widget tool here, and we'll just say cursor widget. All right, so okay, that's a very clanky spoon. Let's see here if we have anything else that we want to do. right now I just want to see that that we create a tool and that we send the events to the right type of tool. Cursor tool. Oh, make cursor tool. Where are you? This and G form editor widget. Oops. It's a const registration. Oh yeah, right. The meta class is const because we cannot change the meta class. That's okay. Cursor tool. Oh, did I forget to add these to the makefile? Tool cursor tool widget tool Oh, we're a little low on space, it seems. Let's see, do we have some crap here I can get rid of? Yes. Okay, that's more modest. Sometimes I put all this stuff in my testing home directory and it ends up filling up the testing disk space. And I prefer running with a small disk space because then creating a new disk image is faster. So I'd rather do a little housekeeping there. Okay, so, oh, we definitely have some action going on already. We got a cursor tool on mouse move. Click, get down and up, that's pretty good. Okay, now let's switch to a slider. And now I have a widget tool as my tool. And also, I'm not able to interact with this because we made the form widget greedy. So, good. Wow, there's so much crap going on here. Should really fix it so that these don't show up in the git status as dirty or untracked. Okay. All of this stuff is kind of tied together. Tools, Hack Studio, okay. So, Hack Studio, introduce a tool class with subs, cursor tool, and widget tool. These will be used to draw out new widgets on a form widget. Or in the case of cursor tool, to manipulate, select, and manipulate existing widgets. Okay. So, what do we want to start with? I guess we can try the cursor tool first. So let's just see if we can select something here. Cursor tool. Okay. So we want to figure out if we are clicking on something. So we need to, first we need to get the form widget. That would be our m-editor dot, oh, we need to, form editor widget, form widget. Okay. And then we need to figure out what are we clicking on, and that would be form widget. Is there a hit test? Oh, incomplete type, right? So hold on. There's some kind of a hit testing thing. Yeah, hit test. And yeah, you can see here there's a parameter for respecting greediness. So now we're going to disrespect the greed because the whole point was for us to be greedy and take the event, and then we were going to hit test ourselves and disregard the greediness and punch through this widget and see what we're actually hitting underneath it, or like among its children. So we'll pass in the event position. So this position is going to be relative to the form widget, by the way, because that's where the event comes from. Because remember, the form widget is the one who hijacks the events and passes them to the tool. So here we'll say should is that in G widget? Yes. Okay. Cool. And what do we have in result now? We have a widget and a local position in that widget. Right. So if result widget and result widget is not form widget, then I guess we want to select that widget. And we want widget selection to be, we want it to be, we want to support multi-select, right? So let's see. This is something that we already have in Visual Builder, by the way. So here you can create widgets, and then you're supposed to be able to multi-select them by holding Shift and clicking, yeah. So we want the same behavior. Wait. Can I unselect? I guess by holding Control I can unselect, Shift to multi-select. It's a little bit confusing, but we want the same thing. So if you click on one and you're holding Control, it should add to the selection, I think. But Shift should also maybe, I'm not sure yet. I feel like you should be able to drag out the selection and stuff like that, but we'll get to that stuff. Let's just select one. So we'll say form mEditor selection at salt widget. Okay, and let's see if event, if it has control, or then we will add to the selection, else we will if we don't have control, then I guess we'll set the selection to this. So we'll clear the existing selection and set it to this widget. Okay. I'm kind of re-implementing Visual Builder functionality now, but I don't mind. And I'm building it in a different way now, and I'm happy to do that, so that's okay. Because Visual Builder was not well architectured or thought through at all. So this is coming from a much better angle. So we want the form editor widget to have some kind of selection object that I started using here. Event.control. Oh, we have to check modifiers and mod control. Okay, and then here we'll say widget selection. Maybe something like this, and widget selection. I'll just put this thing down here. And this thing can have add and set. And I guess this is going to internally be just a hash table, really. It doesn't matter what order these things are in. Widgets, let's call it mwidgets. Class. Private. There we go. Okay, and we can just implement these right away, actually. So set is going to be clear, followed by add widget. Add is going to be widgets set widget, and clear is just going to be widgets clear. All right, it's pretty straightforward. So then we have to star here because we don't want to allow null putter to be in this thing, and we've already checked it up here anyway. Okay, so after we modify the selection, we should probably let the thing repaint itself. So we'll say mEditor update, just for simplicity, or we could actually do not the whole editor, but we could do the form widget. To update any part of okay. And then I'm thinking that we're gonna form widget. Let's see. So we're gonna need a second paint event here. There's such a thing. And it happens after all your children have painted, then you get a chance to paint again if you want. And we're gonna use this mechanism to paint after all the children have been painted. So form widget second paint event. Painter this. But if we don't have any FM, so oh no, the editor has a selection, right? So if editor selection is empty, turn, and it's going to need is empty function. Widgets is empty and will contains const g widget. Okay, wait. What? Why can't I use this? I can't look in this thing with this. That's a little bit of an unfortunate situation, but okay. Yeah, I don't love that. Fix me. Okay, then here when we do the second paint event, for each child, I suppose, child, if editor selection contains child, if it doesn't, then we just return iteration decision continue. Or we can do it this way, actually, also. Let's do something simple first, like for each child that is member of the selection, we will draw a rectangle around it. Let's clip the painter, by the way, to the event rectangle so we don't overdraw. Draw rect, child, relative rect. Color blue, say. Widget selection is private within this context. Crikey. Has a private default constructor. Yeah, that's true. That's my bad. No matching function for contains. I'm passing a C object. Oh shit. Right. For each child. Do we have it? For each child widget. That's what I want. Because GWidget is a C object. It's part of the C object model. But in this case, we're only interested in children that are GWidgets. So let's see. Bloop. Can we select it by clicking on it? No, we can't. Or at least not in a way that would make it paint differently. So where did we go wrong? Let's look at the cursor tool. Let's see. On mouse down. Oh shit, I need to actually use the cursor tool if I want this to work. So now I'm still in the radio button tool. So go back to cursor tool, click on it. Okay, yeah, there we go. So it now has the rectangle around it telling us that it is indeed selected. And can I unselect it somehow? Oh, there's no way to unselect it. I guess control should really toggle. Maybe shift should always add and control should toggle. Does that make sense? Is that what File Manager does? Control toggles, shift selects, but also toggles. I'm not sure what the right behavior is. Toggle seems very sensible. So let's say toggle. Toggle G. Well, maybe it's okay to not have const here. We can just do it this way, actually. Because I just realized that none of these are using const GWidget anyway, so. If you're selecting a widget, you're probably preparing to mutate it somehow, so doesn't feel wrong to use non-const widget references, actually. Since being a member of a selection feels like logically or conceptually like a mutable membership or whatever. mutable state. If contains widget, remove widget. Else add widget. We'll need remove. This thing is feeling extremely generic. Widgets remove, widget assert, and widgets contains widget. Okay, let's just see that we can toggle now by holding control. Oh, cursor tool, oops. Yep, toggle works. Very cool. All right, so that's good. So say Hack Studio, add a widgets, basic widget selection, and allow toggling. Start implementing basic widget selection in cursor tool. Now select widgets by clicking on them with the cursor tool and toggle the selection state of a widget by control clicking. Yeah. Now let's allow you to drag a widget around. So for that, we're going to need something like dragging, and we're going to need to remember where we started dragging from. Draw point. Okay. So when you mouse down on something, and you're not holding control, I would say. So if there are no modifiers, so if there are no modifiers, then mdragging is true. Mdrag origin is event position. And all of this should probably be specific to the left mouse button. Okay, and then when you mouse up, we'll say event button is G mouse button left, then false. Yep. And here, if event buttons, or actually I'm dragging when we get a mouse move, then we gotta move all the stuff. So I guess the movement delta is the current position minus the drag origin and I guess we need to remember everyone's original position as well. Maybe I feel like we need to do that. But, drag origin, that's where we started. And then we want to move everyone, so M drag. M drag. Decisions before drag. Something like that. Hash map. Class GWidget. Cool. Then let's also save all of the positions here. So for auto, editor selection for each we'll clear the positions before drag, and then for each selected widget, we'll say in positions before drag, set widget, widget. Okay, and then this thing is going to need it for each as well. So for each. Okay, cool. Then we just want to move everything to their original position translated by the movement delta. So editor selection for each. Or widget set relative rect, or move to actually. Get widget value or empty. Moved by, or is it moved by a translate? I think it's translate. Movement delta. No such thing as position. Well, what is it called then? I forget. Point relative position. Okay, my bad. And look at that, we can move it. That's pretty neat. So let's get the cursor tool, and we can maybe select both. Oh shit, how do we drag both? There's no way to drag both, because you click on one and it stops the selection. I guess we shouldn't clear until you mouse up. So it's a drag until you mouse up on an individual. So if M dragging, then stop dragging, otherwise selection set. Wait, this is kind of strange. maybe we shouldn't consider ourselves dragging until you've actually moved the mouse after a mouse down. So how do we make that work? Well, that's not what I want to test out anyway, actually, because let's backtrack a little bit here. I'm not worried about that for a moment, because I want to do the multiple drag anyway, and there's all kinds of other stuff to fix. So, if we, let's just not do this. We'll just do add. For now, just so that we can see what it looks like. That's good, and we'll do that. Okay, so now we can move them together. Cool. And yeah, this works. We should make it snap to the grid also. How do we make it snap? We have the grid size in the form editor form widget. I think that's where I put it. Yeah, here. So let's have a way to get that out. Put this comment here. Okay, and then how did I do this in the other place? Grid size. What's going on here? It's painting the grid, inserting something, moving something. Let's see here. This is how we align it to the grid. Okay, we can do that. So where do we do the set location thingy? Move to. Say widget.rect, relative rect, new rect move to, and then we'll say this stuff right here, but we will call form widget.grid size. Like that. Okay. Oh, we gotta actually set it. Widget set relative rect new rect. And it's called set location. Because you don't call move to on a rect, you call set location. It's a little bit different from widget. Not sure if that's good or bad, but it is what it is. Checkbox, why not? Okay, so let's put those together and look at that. Now they move along the grid. It's really simple. That's so cool. Okay, so I don't love the way that the selection works. So let's make that work the nice way. So let's say that a drag doesn't start immediately when you press down, but rather when you mouse move with the left button down. So if you're already dragging, then we'll do this. If event, let's say return event buttons and G mouse button left. So we have it left down and we're moving and we're not dragging yet. So here we'll say I'm dragging true. And let's see. Yeah. But we'll store the drag origin up here already. I think that will make sense. And actually, I guess we should do it this way, so that the drag starts right away. Okay. So if not I'm dragging, and event position is not drag origin. So I guess we should filter it. I'm not sure if you will get that as a mouse move from the exact same position as we got the mouse down, but if we do, before we've started dragging, then let's filter that out. It just seems sensible. Okay, and then when you mouse up, if I'm dragging, then stop dragging. Else, actually, we should always stop dragging, but if you were dragging, if you were not dragging, then we should set the current. We should set the current thing that you're hitting to be the single selected widget if you're hitting something. So we'll need to do a hit test. Here, if result widget and result widget is not the form widget, editor selection set result widget. And then we want no modifiers to be add. Okay, I think this makes sense. Let's just place those. Bloop. You can start dragging right away. Bloop. Oh, but that was supposed to deselect one. If I click on one. Oh, if I click and unclick, then I expected to make that the only selected one. This is so weird. Let's see. What am I thinking wrong here? So we're always here. So clicking always means adding. I guess if editor selection contains, if I'm clicking something that is not currently selected, then we should do editor selection set. Otherwise, I'll add it to the selection. So it becomes the, wait, hold on. If it already contains, I don't need to add. Yeah, right. It's weird, like when you have this sort of behavior that you know would feel right, but you never thought about how you would write it out in code. And then you find yourself doing that. Okay, now this, okay, this is weird. If I just click in some random place and start dragging, then it moves the thing. So I needed to lose the selection if I'm clicking outside of anything. If result, if result widget and result blah blah blah. If we hit the else case, And let's do an editor selection clear. Bloop, 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 click, click, click. Oh, that was really bizarre. What if I want to drag these together? How do I do that now? Because immediately, if it doesn't contain it, let's set it. But I'm clicking on something that is contained, so why do you forget what I've selected, bro? Wait. I want to drag them together still. Why does this seem so so intricate? Okay, so it works fine if they're separated, but if I select both, oh, wait, what? Okay, and then I just click down on one and it already loses the other. That was also really weird. So click down and we've called set. So where's that set bastard? I guess we should be able to see in the log here what kind of event we're getting. Mouse down. It's the last thing I got. Nothing else. Mouse up and then mouse down. Nothing else. And it already clears. And I'm not holding control. I have no modifiers. So I have to assume that the selection does not contain the only selected one. Fine. I want to hear it from you. I want you to say it. Bloop, bloop. All right, come here, you jerk. Selection didn't contain the checkbox, but how is that? Oh, wait, hold on. So it's just that it doesn't repaint. Control click. So it's already screwed at that point. It just doesn't repaint properly. That's a bit surprising. But anyway, I guess when we mouse up, maybe when you, here I guess is where we're doing this. Oh, and we don't repaint after this. So if we do this, then we should do a repaint. Form widget update. It's a good question indeed to ask here as well. But if we were holding control here, so if we were not holding control, I guess, if event modifiers and mod control, if no control, if we were out of control, then we should keep the selection. Okay, come on now. Let's see it. Oh yeah, there we go. And I click and let go, and now only that one is selected. Yep. This is so neat. I like it. I guess you can probably, yeah, I was gonna say you can probably make it do weird shit, but it glitches a little bit, I've noticed. If I'm using the keyboard and the mouse at the same time, sometimes I get these weird glitches. I bet that's, there's some bug somewhere in the mouse or keyboard driver that they glitch out and wait, this is also weird. If I click on something and start dragging, it actually starts dragging not the new thing that I've clicked, but if I have a selection and I click and I drag this, oh, we gotta fix that. So if the thing, let's see, that will be in here when we initiate the drag. We gotta do a hit test down there as well. So I'm noticing that we should just put this somewhere. Form widget. Well, maybe it's not so important, but let's see. If result widget and result widget is not form widget, editor form widget, editor selection. If editor selection contains this is getting a little bit jumbly in my brain, I have to admit. I feel like we need to find some clearer way to express all of these different conditions, but right now I'm just stacking them up here, but there has to be a clearer way to express this stuff. So if we're initiating a drag by dragging something that's not currently selected, then we will make that be the currently singly selected thing. And there should be an update in response to that. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I have to choose the cursor tool, and that works. This thing would be much easier to understand if these would change the state to like be checked or pressed or whatever, depressed. But yeah, we have something nice here. So it's progress, I would call it. Let's see, commit. Allow moving widgets around using the cursor tool. So now you can now move widgets around either by themselves or in group selections by dragging them with the cursor tool. Okay, and then I would like to be able to move them around with the keyboard as well, because I don't know, I just always like doing that in Visual Basic, so I'm going to have it here too. So let's allow the tool to also hook key events, at least key press, key down. Let's see. Form widget, we'll just do the same thing here, where we just forward this event, so key down event, editor tool on key down event. Cool. And in the widget tool, we should also, the widget tool is not very sophisticated yet. It's going to have to get better, but we'll get there. Obviously, it doesn't do anything yet. Right now, we are working on cursor tools, so one thing at a time. Guess we'll just do this. So what are we going to do with the cursor tool when you press key down? I think we are going to react to some keys. So event modifiers. No modifiers. And let's see. Event is key down. Then I guess this is what we're going to do right here. So we're just going to move everything that's selected. Move all selected widgets by this auto delta. Something like that. So if you press down, we'll move them by, actually, let's say point movement delta. You know, why not X and Y? Translated XY. And when we move down by this, and M editor form widget grid size. Something like this. Then we just have to make these different ones. So lefty and righty. Something like that. Can I drag it? Yeah. And then, oh, can't move it. I guess we don't have keyboard focus, actually. How are we going to get the keyboard focus here? Form widget. We need to steal focus somewhere. I guess we're going to have form editor widget take focus. So we'll just say virtual bool accepts focus override return true. No? What's it called? Oh, it's const. Then the form editor widget will steal focus. But that means that the events are not going to go to the form itself. That's which is where we would have hooked them. So I think that's not good enough. Yeah, that's not good enough. But we kind of maybe we should take key events here instead. It's a little bit sad to split up this responsibility, but I think it will work for now slightly better, because when it comes to mass event, we only care if you're clicking inside of the actual form widget. Whereas when it comes to key events, you're sort of in the form editing context, and then you always want to notice the key events, even if you're not necessarily focusing that form widget at the moment. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe that doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm rationalizing, and we should move focus to the form widget. Let's try that instead. So let's take focus. Okay, so now, but it shouldn't be relative to the drag position when we do this, but otherwise it's good. Cursor tool. Actually, this probably shouldn't be implemented by the cursor tool, because if you have a selection, you should be allowed to move it regardless. But maybe you can't even have a selection. Yeah, maybe you can't have a selection unless you have the cursor tool selected. I think that's a good rule. Because if you can have a selection while also having another tool selected, that's going to make things confusing. So yeah, let's stick to this. But this thing has to not use these things, but they're just going to move from wherever they are right now. So I think we can just do widget move by XY if you want to be really technical about it. And by technical, I mean if you want to make it really simple. Yeah, there we go. Now we can move it with the freaking keys. That's so awesome. Oh, cursor tool, select both, and they move with the keyboard. I love it. All right. And that's what this whole thing was just about that, right? Oops, Hack Studio. Moving the selected widgets using the arrow keys. It's a nice complement to moving widgets with the mouse. Okay, so this thing, one last thing today. This thing is bothering me. Like, I want these to be showing that there's a currently selected one. So how do we do that? Hack Studio main. And where's that big toolbar? The form widgets toolbar. So we're going to say with these actions that they are checkable. And yeah, we're going to have to separate this out. Cursor tool action is that, and cursor tool action. Set checkable true. Cursor tool action. Set checked true. But you are not checked. False. All right. And then, oh man, we're gonna have to, maybe we can put them in an action group actually. This is exactly what action group is for. So let's try to use one, because I haven't used them in forever. And I forget kind of how they work. But the idea is that you can create a group of actions and then add actions to it. And then you can only have one action selected in that group if the group is exclusive, which we will say, yes, it is exclusive. So we create a G action group and then add the actions to it. Right. Cursor tool action. Tool actions. Add action, cursor tool action. And we add this guy here as well. And we'll say the tool actions. Set exclusive true. I wonder if this will just work by itself. It would be nice if it did. Okay, now this one is clearly, not super clearly, but slightly clearly pressed. And now multiple are pressed because this is not working right. Okay, now they're all pressed. Great. So maybe checkable is not the right thing to be looking for. How does this work? Is exclusive. Does anyone even check this? When we call set checked, if is exclusive. Wait, what? Set exclusive. We have to set it on each individual button as well. Okay. This thing is not as automatic as I remember. But okay, I can call. Or wait, who had set exclusive? Set exclusive is a button thing and an action group thing, okay? And nobody ever checks if the action group is exclusive. It's a bit sad. If checked and we are in a group, then for each action, if they're checkable, then we uncheck them. Kind of get the feeling that we're not in an action group though. Add action. Set group this. Okay, so I would expect that to just kind of work. So what's going wrong here? Set checkable. Maybe we have to do the checking ourselves. Wait, G abstract button set checked. Who calls that? When we click on the button, which is a G button, or let's see how G toolbar sets up buttons. Add action. Create a regular frickin' button. And I guess one thing we could be doing here is set exclusive exclusive if action group and action group is exclusive, then set exclusive true on the button, but I'm not sure that will help. But it seems like what I originally intended. Oh, that does the trick. All right, so it's just the fact that we were not propagating the exclusive state from the group. Sometimes these seem confused somehow. I'm not exactly sure how. But anyways, that's pretty cool. Now you can see that the cursor is selected. When you check the slider, then you can't drag because slider is selected. Obviously, this is not exactly how it should work in the end, but it's cool now. So how much of this change did we actually need? I guess all of it. So let's see, libgui toolbar, libgui, origin libgui, copy, make toolbar, buttons exclusive, if the action is an exclusive group. Make toolbar buttons. Well, let's see. How can we express this in 72 characters? Huh. This must have been this was probably what I had originally intended when I first wrote the G-action group stuff, but seems to have been forgotten. Curious. And then, yeah, we just make the put them in a group so that you can only choose one tool and so on. Make the widget toolbar buttons exclusive. Let's see, checkable and exclusive. This way you can see which tool currently got selected, and it doesn't let you select more than one at once. Okay, we don't need to overdo it with the smiley faces. I feel like I was adding, oh, actually it's not that many. Just a little here and there. So I think this is going to be it for today's video, but we got a fair amount of stuff done. I didn't end up doing the widget tree like I originally thought, but I'm happy with progress on just a cursor tool. Turned out pretty cool. Oh, and yeah, this is, oops, definitely working the way that I wanted for the most part. A lot of stuff to do, obviously, but progress is progress. So I hope you saw something interesting here, and thank you for hanging out once again. And I'll see you next time. Bye.